Hello everyone. This video will be reviewing the present tenses all together. So we suggest you to watch the 4 videos related to each present tense on the video channel before watching this video. Of course, you can find the links in the description. They will help you better understand the answers. However, there is the audio commentary on the answers at the end of this video as well. And one more point, all the following sentences in this quiz tell one single story and are interrelated. So sometimes you will have to choose the answer based on the whole context and not only one single test. So if you're ready, let's start the test. Hello and welcome to the grammar lesson for present tenses. In this lesson, we are going to review, compare, and contrast the use and function of all present tenses together, including present simple, progressive, perfect, and perfect progressive. But first, we will be reviewing the use of each one separately. As you know, present simple is not usually used for talking about one single action at a specific time. So, it is usually used to talk about frequency and repetitions. Based on this functionality, it is usually used to talk about habits and routines, ideas and opinions, permanent facts, sport commentary, and reviews and summaries. Let's have a look at some examples. 1. Habits and routines. I don't always go to lectures that are early in the morning. Well, as you see, this action doesn't function for one specific time, but it is talking about all early mornings. Number 2, ideas and opinions. My father doesn't like soccer at all. Again, we are not talking about a specific time. The idea of not liking soccer is something forever. Next one, permanent facts. The left hand side of the brain controls the right hand side of the body. Live sport commentary. Ronaldo passes Adams, it's a goal. And finally, reviews and summaries. The film ends with not knowing whether they were successful or not. Well, let's have a quick review of what we mentioned. Present simple is used for habits and routines, ideas and opinions, permanent facts, live sport commentary, reviews and summaries. Number 2, the present progressive. Well, on a time axis, the present progressive emphasizes on happening of the action at the moment of talking. So, it is usually used to talk about actions happening now or around now, temporary situations and series of actions, changing and developing situations, and annoying or amusing habits. Let's see some examples. 1. Actions happening now. The boys are doing their homework right now. Actions happening around now. I'm really busy. I'm working on several projects at the moment. Okay, this action is going on, is progressing right now. However, the person is not doing it exactly at the moment of speaking. Number 3, temporary situations and series of actions, like we are not having any exams while our professors are still on strike. Next one, changing and developing situations. Again, because it is something that is in progress. More and more people are starting to use hybrid cars. And finally, annoying or amusing habits. Usually with always. Tom is always losing his papers around the office. Well, as you see, all these 5 situations have one thing in common. Something is in progress during their happening. Well, next tense, the present perfect. Well, on a time axis, present perfect happens in the past. But the difference between present perfect and past tense is that there's always a link to the present time. So it is usually used to talk about situations and states that started in the past and are still true. Well, this is the link to present time. A series of actions up to now, experiences in life up to now, completed actions or changes where result is important, and finally, actions completed recently. Let's see some examples. 1. Situations and states that started in the past and are still true. Like, I have been a member of the club for over 5 years. Well, actually, this is, this being a member of the club is something related to past, but the person is still a member of the club. The action is linked to the present time. Next one, series of actions up to now, like the team has won all the matches the team has won all the matches and the semi-final so far. Well, these winnings have happened in the past, but, well, it is connected to now. The result also maybe is important. The next one, experiences in life up to now. Example, I have visited many African countries, but I have never been to pyramids. Well, as you see, the person is talking about the experience of visiting African countries and the experience that he or she doesn't have being to pyramids. Next function, completed actions or changes where the result is important, like she has been awarded a scholarship to study at Harvard. Well, the action of being awarded a scholarship clearly has happened in the past, but, well, she still has the scholarship. It is linked to the present time. And finally, the last function, actions completed recently. I have just received my exam results. Well, we use present perfect to talk about this one because, however, it has happened in the past, but the time or the time adverb is not clear. Well, when the time of the action in the past is not mentioned, present perfect is the best choice. Well, let's have a quick look at the functions. Situations and states started in the past and are still true, series of actions up to now, experiences up to now, completed actions or changes, and actions completed recently. And finally, the last present tense, present perfect progressive. Present perfect progressive on the time axis is shown like an action which was in progress up to now, and its function is actions and situations continuing up to present or just before the present. Some examples: it has been raining since yesterday morning and we can't work in the yard. Well, if we want to show this one on the time axis, let's get back to the time axis. Well, it has been raining since yesterday morning. It means yesterday morning, maybe someplace around here, the raining started and it continued up to now. Well, thank you. Well, in this part, we are going to have a more detailed comparison of the four tenses with illustrations. Well, the first one, present simple. As we mentioned earlier, when we use present simple, we don't, mean one single time that action happened there only once. Rather, we are talking about the repetition or the presence of the action as a fact all over the time or on each part of the axis. Well, this is a clear example of that. If I say I watch a movie every night, well, this is one action, one night, next night, and so on. While about present progressive, well, the idea is much more different. If I say I'm watching a movie right now, this watching a film as one continued action which now is in progress. The speaker does not consider the past or future, just emphasizes on the action right now. Well, present perfect. As we know, present perfect happens in the past, but there is a link to now. This link can be an adverb, like today, this month, this week, a result, a change, or an experience. And finally, the present perfect progressive specifies the action that continued from past to now. The action started in the past and continued up to present or just before present. Well, now let's consider some of the overlaps that may happen between present progressive and present simple, and later between present perfect and perfect progressive. Well, actually, if an action is temporary or the ending of the action is clear, we will be using present progressive. On the other hand, if the action is permanent or the ending is unimportant, we will be using present simple. Well, sometimes these two tenses can be mistaken, but these two simple keys can distinguish between the use. Well, question number 8 in the test you have just taken is an example of this overlapping. Okay, you stand beside it right now. Well, because the question is about right now, in the other word, it is a temporary action. The person is not asking if he stands in a place regularly every day. It is only about now. So we choose to use present continuous. And in the other question, number 12, let's see, okay, I use it. This it is referred to battery tester. Well, again, using the battery tester is something temporary just now. So the answer would be I am using it. The battery appears to be full of life. Well, we say appears, or like question 13, I don't understand, or he doesn't think. Well, in these, cases, we didn't use progressive tense because these verbs think, understand, and some more verbs are considered as state verbs. State verbs do not talk about an action. They talk about a state, and we never use them in progressive form. You can find a complete list of state verbs at the end of the video. And the next overlap which can happen is between present perfect or present perfect progressive. Again, there is a simple key to distinguish between their uses. The first key is if the sentence or the verb is talking about number of times of action, we use present perfect. But on the other hand, if the verb is talking about lengths of time, we use present perfect. And if the action emphasizes on the result, we use present perfect. On the other hand, if the verb is emphasized on the action itself, we use present perfect progressive. Well, in some tests, we needed this key. Number 4, my motorcycle is broken. Well, we cannot use present simple or progressive because it is not about now or something forever, permanent. But, well, the person says, I have to say, I have tried to repair it 4 days, I have been trying. But because it is length of action, I would choose I have been trying, the present perfect progressive. And I don't know what is wrong with it. Well, know again is one of the state verbs. We use simple one, simple present. The next one, I to start it many times. Times of, the verb happening. So I would use present perfect. And finally, the list of the state verbs. The state verbs describe a state rather than an action. So they aren't usually used in continuous form unless they have a meaning different from their stative meaning. Well, as you remember, in the comparison of present simple and continuous, we mentioned that some of the verbs are never used in continuous form. Well, let's have a look at the reason. Well, here. The stative verbs are thoughts and opinions, feelings and emotions, senses and perceptions, and possessions and measurements. Well, as you see, the function of these verbs are not an action, but they are a state. Well, states cannot be described in progressive form. We either, possess an state, we either are in an state or we are not. so it cannot be continued. That is why we don't use these verbs in progressive forms. There is some exceptions when they have a different meaning, like the verb have. If it is used in possessive form, we don't use it in progressive, but here I'm having a shower does not mean possession of something, it means an action. Well, these are the exceptions, but as we said, like number 10, test number 10, well, here it looks clean. The person was talking about the spark plug. It looks clean. Well, this looking is an state, not an action. Or like in number 11, that's good. Now you need to test the battery. Well, the question is about possession. Do you have a battery tester? And because having is not an action, but a state, we use present simple. And finally, in question number 2, again, we have the appear. The battery appears to be full of life. Well, again, this is not an action. This is an state. Well, that's it. I hope you liked the lesson and the comparisons. Good luck and goodbye.